Raynor Shun, My Art Studio. My name is Raynor, and the word of today is composition. So we are working on a piece that you can see behind me. I've got a large piece of Bristol board that I've tacked to the wall, and this Bristol board is going to be the surface I'm going to work with to create a painting. And so right now this is going to be a still life. And you can see that I am starting the process of drawing things out. And so let's draw a little bit. And we can talk while we draw. Right, so I've got a series of objects that I'm setting up across this piece of paper. And I'm working from a still life reference photo that I took a long time ago. I love the idea of still life. Still life is something that engages me as an artist. There's a rich history of the idea of a collection of objects. What makes still life exciting to me is that you can really think about your composition. Now, what do I mean by composition? How things are arranged on this piece of paper. So when you go about your day and you're looking into the real world, things often aren't arranged in pleasing ways. Things are just random, right? And so there's a secret formula, if you will, of how to arrange things so that your eye becomes very engaged with them. And that's the complexities of composition. Now, I say it's complex, it doesn't have to be. And there's some simple rules and things to remember about composition. One of them is always look at your negative space. Always look at the silhouettes that your shapes are making. Shapes are very important. So the first shape that I have here in this still life is this jar or jug. It has this label here on it. And I'm using something called walnut ink, which is a very cool, unique material. And down beneath here is a cup. So we're going to draw the ellipse of that cup. I see some people have arrived. Welcome in. My name is Raynor. And we have a cup that's down there at the bottom. This walnut ink is a very unique material. It's made clearly from walnuts. The oils and the walnuts are ground up. They make this rich brown ink. And I love the tones on it.
It looks like your Wi-Fi name or password has changed. To update your Wi-Fi information, go to the Alexa app.
I had to tell Alexa to be extra quiet there. So yes, here we are. We are painting a still life, and we're using walnut ink. I just have some of the walnut ink in a cup. Let me show you what it looks like so that you can see. Oh, and thank you for the likes. It's a beautiful ink. I like working with unique materials. So we have a cup that's here. Then beside of that is a small apple. Now, if you're eagle-eyed, you might be able to see that I have a tiny bit of watercolor I put on there as a test, just to see. So it's a yellow-green apple. Behind it is a cloth. Actually, take it back, it's a book. I love the idea of putting things in the still life that have meaning or symbolism. So the idea of a book, that shows that I'm a reader, right? It shows that I'm someone who sits down with a book. And we're going to put a compote or a little platter that's going to sit underneath the edge of that book. So there's a long tradition of the idea of fruit in a still life, right? And fruits mean different things. And they can mean different things. I think it can be very personal as well. So there's this is like the corner of a wall. So our table is sitting near a wall, and I like the geometry of that. The table itself comes down like this. There's an edge to the table. Now I'm purposely, I'm distorting the tilt a bit of the table and what it does, just for fun. Now let me tell you who I am, if I have some new guests here with me. My name is Raynor, R-A-Y-N-O-R. Everybody remembers me, the idea of Raynor Shine, and I've been an art professor for about 27 years. I teach painting, and I teach drawing. I teach a course on creativity. We're gonna add some more apples here. One of my favorite artists is a post-impressionist. His name is Cézanne. He's a French post-impressionist, 1880s, 90s, early 1900s. And Cézanne really elevated the idea of the still life into something very concrete, and he was reflecting the times that he lived in. So we're going to add another apple. So right now everything's very loose and everything is just very workable. Let's add another apple back here. And then we're going to try to find this jar or jug back here. I like to draw my forms. Oh, thank you for the like. I like to draw my forms very three-dimensionally, and this is an artistic thing that you have to conceive of those objects in your mind within this paper. You have to see and feel their three-dimensionality, and I think that's hard, and that really just takes practice, right? Practice drawing. You know, if you see this line, it's like I'm drawing an ellipse that goes all the way through that object. Now it's going to taper up here to the top. And there's a large lip here of that object. My light is mostly on the left side of all these objects. So it's going to be a bit darker on this right side. So how many apples are we up to here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always, I got a yellow-green apple, and these are going to be red apples. I like to have odd numbers of things in my still life paintings. I think odd numbers look better. Okay, this is a big water jug. So we're going to give him some presence to him. And give him a little personality. He's got some cloth here coming out, wrapping around. Put one more apple here. We just suggest some shadows here along the sides. Just to start to build some light and dark and contrast. So the back of that table is going make sure my table line works her way across there. Just like that. And then I want something here. I think we're going to have some kind of plate. And just then I drew an ellipse. Ellipses are one of the harder things to draw. You have to learn to get that shape. Get that shape down. Throw a little shadow over here like that. Let's continue this table across. Now I'm going to put some more cloth coming out here. I love drawing fabric and that sort of thing anyway. It's really fun to work out. So that table has a front lip just like that. And one thing that I recommend for young artists or for artists who are learning to do is to step back from your work. Look at it from a distance. Something I see a lot of young artists do, and again, this is from teaching, loud traffic. This is from teaching 20, almost 30 years, is that students get really close to their work. And it's important to back up, to back away, look at it, start to have dialogue with your work. What are you seeing? What can improve? What are things you can adjust? Don't just sketch it in once and then locked in and you forget about it. Your work should always be adaptable and flexible while you're making it. So we're going to find just a little bit of, there's a little story here underneath these legs. Need to get that to match. Oops. Okay, so we're going to suggest what's going on. Those legs, then we're going to bring this across just like that. So I'm starting to think about what the color could look like. So we're going to put a spout on this guy. Just a little water spout and then a handle there at the top. And then it has two lines down there. We're starting to get a nice little composition here. Need to find a little bit more. There's a drawer that happens down here. Here's one of the legs. It's going in there. And we are starting to get the composition to congeal. So I'm feeling good about that. And I have some thoughts. Let's go ahead and bring in some more tones where we think our shadows are. just quickly suggesting where those lights and where those darks are. Then I think I'm going to bring in some darker ink to put on top of this, and maybe suggest some, actually why don't we suggest some more color a little bit. So let's clean our brush. Yeah, let's clean our brush a little bit. And then I still have some guests. I'm so glad you're all here. I'd love to get to know you a little bit. I have my TikTok up here. It's called Raynor Shine Studios. I have a fairly large following on TikTok. I'm trying to establish a community here in YouTube. That's why I'm doing my lives. I hope you'll give me a follow. I mean, why not? So we got some red apples here. Now this is my watercolor palette. Let's show it off, right? So I loosely keep it in Roy G. Biv order, right? Reds, oranges, yellows, greens, blues, and violets, right? So that's the way my watercolor palette works. I've got just a real soft watercolor brush. I have a lot to say about brushes, but that's for another day. And so let's get a little bit of red. So we're going to suggest just lightly touching. I'm going to start suggesting some of the reds of these apples. Right, knowing that, you know, the brown is very dominant. You love art, Gigi. I love art too, and I'm glad you loved it. Thank you. That's very kind. Let's go a little bit over here, a little bit over there. Okay, good. Now I'm going to go into these shadows a little bit, and I'm going to make I can show you maybe. I said I'm making kind of a blue purpley color here. Kind of a cooler shadow, right? That'll balance out some of the warmth of all that brown. It will soften out that brown. So let's go through and start finding some of those shadows. I want everything nice and loose, nice and loose. Oh, Amy said hi. Hi, Amy. If you're still here. And for this cup. I'm going to do more of a teal. A little bit of a richer green. When did the live start? Oh, I started at 10 o'clock. So we've made good progress since 10. I'm going to try to do another live on Wednesday of this week. Hope you'll swing by. And we'll see if people like them, I'll keep doing them. If they don't, I don't have to. Let's do a little neutral something for that background. I'll be ready too. Just something for this background, just a little neutral. That's not the most fun color, is it? Let's find a better color for that. New subscriber, well, thank you for that as well. We're going to try to make a I have so many former students floating around the interwebs. A lot of times I'll have students peek in, which is always lovely to have my former art kids say hello. This is going to be more of a brown, so let's go ahead and get a little brown in there. I have about 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes. Let's start suggesting our table here. Now I'm using Bristol board, which is good paper for illustration. It's not great for watercolors. I don't even know why I didn't just put up watercolor paper. Silly me. I've been watching a lot of social media of artists, and there's a lot of really good stuff out there that you can learn. I like the social media pages where I feel like I'm not being sold something. I have an art teacher, she's the best. Well, I'm so glad art teachers can be really good folks. Please say hello to your art teacher for me. All right, we're just touching around these browns. We're trying to establish a bit of a color for that table. Trying to find a basic palette for this piece. And we're trying to let the color slowly, gradually evolve. We don't have to be in any kind of hurry whatsoever. Just nice and slow. Let that color slowly happen. I'm starting with a lot of really pale, less intense colors. Then I'll work my way to some of the stronger, brighter colors, right? Now for this fabric, I'm going to put some blue in that fabric. Look at that, just a little blue. Goes a long way. I'm going to put a darker color down here as well. Maybe something that's a little bit of a red violet might be nice. A little red violet. It doesn't look as red violet as I thought. I like for my watercolors to build up very gradually, very slow. It's okay if things drip. Whoa! Maybe not too far down. I don't want that brown to go away. Just a little bit of that purple. Yeah, I like how it's starting to come around. Starting to feel the vibes, as my students say. Starting to feel some need for contrast. We're going to have to find that. Contrast is important. It's one of those principles and elements of design that we must use. Got a little blue on the brush. I'm going to make this kind of a sienna color. Let's do that one really quickly. There we go. And this, I want a very pale orange type of color. I'm making a fox. Well, good. I like to draw animals and paint animals. Those are fun. Ooh, a pale orange like that. That's good. We're going to find a little bit of a warmer red. I want to go in. Some of these tabletop areas and just red it up a little bit. Just like that. All right. You know what? I think we're going to call it for now. I want to thank everyone who dropped by. I appreciate you coming in and spending time in here in my art studio with me. My name is Raynor. I hope you'll give me a follow if you didn't. I hope you learned a little something about art making through this process. And I will be back here Wednesday morning, roughly around 10 o'clock, unless something happens. And I hope you'll drop back by, and we'll see you soon. I'll let you take a minute there while I clean the brush. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Folks, we'll see you soon. Goodbye.